Okay.
This is the closing pitch.
Dave, what is your favorite count as a pitcher?
0 balls, 3 strikes.
Minus the obvious ones. Like, what was your favorite count like to go, like, from a competitive standpoint? Like, obviously, you want, like, it's so obvious. You'd want an 0-2. You'd want, as a hitter, you want 3-1. But, like, from a competitive standpoint, what did you find, like, that was really fun where you were tested?
Wasn't real fun, but the counts probably that I know I had to make the absolute best pitch possible was 2-0-3-1.
Topic for this conversation is obviously hitters counts and pitchers counts. And there was a post by, who was it, Carter?
Troy Hannum. Shout out Troy Hannum. Great content.
Yeah. He posted a chart from 643 Charts, 643charts.com, and their email address is info@643charts.com. But they had a great little counts based on batting average, and it was a little bit surprising. So like 0-0 count, a person's batting 363. 1-0 count, 364. 2-0 count, 372. 2-1, 364. 3-0, 403. 3-1, 373. And then when you started getting into the pitching side, it dramatically shoots down to below the Mendoza line. And if anyone doesn't know what the Mendoza line, that is below the 200s, because the guy who started that phrase, Mendoza, he was in the big leagues and he didn't crack over 200 in the big leagues. So, poor guy.
Big leagues is hard.
Still got paid.
But he still got paid. I never made it, so I would kill to
Can't throw hate.
Yeah, I'd kill to be Mendoza right now. But anyways, I feel like hitters don't really realize the advantages and disadvantages for certain counts and how they play those counts. I feel like pitchers are a little bit more innate to that because they control the ball. Would you say that's pretty
100%.
safe to say?
100%.
So when we talk about these counts, a lot of hitters think that every count is their count, except when they get 2 strikes and it's not their count. But this chart shows that if we have 1 strike on us, our batting average starts taking a nosedive pretty quickly. And then when you start getting 2 strikes, you're literally super below. And the count that is very interesting is 3-2. What do you think a hitter is batting at 3-2?
Well, I have it right here in front of me. So go ahead.
Carter, go ahead.
Answer.
He's probably hitting 227.
Oh, wow. 214.
Damn, that was close.
214. I would have actually said that they're in the 300s because I feel like a 3-2 count is have more of an advantage for the hitter rather than the pitcher.
I would not have at all.
I would argue based on the situation, though.
I would have argued the exact opposite way.
Why?
Because I think a 3-2 count for a hitter, for the most part, has way too many things going on in his head. I have to protect the plate, but I'm also looking for a walk, so I'm being particular. I've now clouded my judgment as to what pitch I could possibly hit, so I'm not looking for anything because I've probably already seen 2, maybe 3 of his pitches at that point, so I could see anything, and I don't really have any aggression behind my swing, but I also don't have as much defensiveness. I'm kind of in no man's land.
See, I always felt like I could. That's why I would go back to the 2-1 count, because a 2-1 count, I felt like I could see anything. But 3-2, I felt the pitcher doesn't want to walk me. Like he's trying to prohibit that. So he's going to be throwing his best pitch at that moment. And typically most best pitches for a pitcher, unless you have a scouting report, is going to be his fastball.
Depends. Depends on the pitcher, depends on the day. How many hitters have been berated by coaches for swinging at a ball out of zone 3-2?
Facts.
A million at any level. Like, what are you doing? So what does that make the hitter do? Well, I don't want to swing.
I always felt like I wanted to swing in that position. My thought was, I'm going to do damage in this swing. And if I swing and miss, I strike out. But I'm going to do some damage.
That's a topic that this might be a hot take in the baseball community. I think coaches not all coaches. I don't want to just berate coaches on here because I'm one. But I think coaches are way too hard on striking out looking versus striking out swinging. I think it's the same thing. Like, and I think that makes hitters over aggressive in 3-2 counts because they don't want to strike out looking. Because my coach said we don't strike out looking, and then they just go fishing for something stupid.
And then they
in
make the
3-2
kid,
count.
and then they make the kid run after the
Yeah,
game.
like
Explain that a little further detail. So I think I know where you're going with this, but why would you say, okay, you strike out looking in a situation? One of your players does, right? Like, how would you coach that situation? What would you be saying? Or what would you be expecting of an answer from him?
from like if I'm asking them
Yeah.
like why they thought.
Sure.
I think first and foremost, I'm gonna
Wait,
Literally.
before you answer, do you hate it when a hitter doesn't swing and strikes out, or do you hate it when a guy swings out of the zone and strikes out? What's worse?
I don't think there's one that's worse than the other, to be honest with you. Because I've seen it go the way of, and I've seen it done in like college programs too, that they're so against striking out looking that like the hitters get to 3-2 and they're just gonna swing because their coach doesn't want them to strike out looking. Like, we're not gonna strike out looking. Like, it's a decent concept because you don't want to be
Give
super
yourself a better chance,
You don't want to be super
theoretically.
passive either, but there's always a line to walk of like how aggressive I'm gonna get for each hitter individually. But I know at least for me and from a coaching experience, I'm going to ask the player first and foremost, like, where do you think the pitch was if he got rung up looking? Like, tell me where you think it was. And if they tell me something and I think it's wrong, I'm going to tell them I think it's wrong. But I'm going to ask them, like, what were you looking for? Like, what did you think you were going to get pitch-wise?
So you think the focus is totally different? Because if you think it goes back to the purple elephant analogy, is that if you keep on thinking about I have to swing, I have to swing, I have to swing, you're going to swing.
Yeah, like when the slider comes out tunneled with the fastball, you're for sure going to swing at it. If you're like, I can't strike out looking, and you get to a 3-2 count, you're for sure going to swing at the changeup.
Do you think that's why Baez is so bad at hitting?
I don't
Like
know.
pitchers,
He's
I think
still in the
pitchers are really
bigs.
good. But what I thought you were going with, I think you still are here, is I always ask one simple question. Let's say they struck out looking, and the answer I'd be like, well, so what were you looking for? Well, what I'm really asking is, what was your plan?
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
And I told players this a million times. I don't care what your answer is in that situation. Yeah. If you give me any answer at all, it's a good answer. It could be totally wrong, but at least you had a plan. If you go up there and say, well, coach, I've been watching this game. It's the fifth inning, and he's gone 3-2 breaking ball like 3 times to a guy. So I saw a pattern, and I was sitting breaking ball, and he painted an outside fastball.
Yeah.
Okay, good job.
Yeah,
You had a plan. That's awesome. Like, I'm not even remotely mad at you. Good on the pitcher for switching it up, but you're trying to learn stuff, right? You're trying to pick up things in the game, tendencies. The wrong answer is, I don't know.
yeah.
That's the wrong
100%.
answer. Just have a plan. I don't care. And the same thing on the pitcher side of it.
Do you think the I don't know comes because they're so afraid of like,
Telling you the plan?
yeah,
Possibly.
or they're afraid of like,
But I think more times than not, they don't have one. I see that because when I look at this chart right in front of me, the things that I get infuriated with watching high school or youth games is like in certain counts, let's say it's a really advantageous hitters count, they're way ahead in it, and high likelihood of seeing a pitch that they can do something with. And they take it that moment because they're looking for a unicorn, a perfect pitch, or something along those lines. And they give up a huge opportunity for themselves rather than having preset thought into it that if this pitcher challenges me with something middle up in the zone, whatever it is, and I know that's my hot zone and I can go get it, I'm going to go get it. Like if I thought about that, I wasn't the best hitter in the world, but I was good at that. Like I knew like if this dude throws me anything here, I'm going. I'm go. That is what I'm going to do. And that's all I'm asking for. Because I think more times than not, there's so much see and react or throw and hope. It's those two things.
I also think that the coaches are so worried about the 0-2 strikeout looking situation where you can't cover 18 inches. 17 to 18 inches. It's literally impossible. Like, it's so hard, especially when you get older and older and older. It's really, really hard. At the youth level, it's a little bit easier because guys don't throw that hard and they're just trying to literally throw it over the plate. But at the high school level, covering those 17 to 18 inches, that is extremely hard.
Let's make it 19 inches.
Okay, for
I'm all for
umpires,
Maybe.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm all for it from a pitcher's aspect.
So maybe the thought process is like, okay, guys, I'm totally cool if you take a strike three looking on the inside corner. I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
But you can't strike out looking on the outside corner or anything that's near the middle of the plate. There's no chance, because more than likely an umpire is going to be more catered towards giving the outside corner than the inside corner. So
Yeah.
if the guy spots up an inside corner,
And you're always picking your battles.
yeah. So like now you're covering 8 inches, 9 inches rather than the whole plate.
Yeah.
Well, again, I want to go back to the thought process from a hitter or pitcher's side of it. I give this example all the time. In youth baseball, I don't honestly think hitters and or pitchers are in a position to make approach or changes to their plan in a certain at bat. They might make it in between innings. They maybe might make it game to game. They don't really do it in at bat. So you can teach like general aggressiveness. You can teach certain things, but asking them to step out of the box, think about a scenario, then duplicate it. Maybe at 13, 14, they can make one, but it's really, really hard. So like you might want to focus more to get the results in these counts that you're talking about of just keeping them in more of an aggressive attack mindset or something along those lines, or play to their strengths or whatever it might be. At the high school level, I'm a firm believer that maybe players can make one, maybe two approach changes. Maybe, or take into the account of scenarios that are happening.
But maybe their approach is just completely off.
That's true too. Maybe they don't even know what it is, because I've seen a lot of high school players that don't even know that stuff.
But I've also approached some high school hitters where they're always looking for the outside corner.
Like pitchers?
No, hitters. They're looking for the outer half of the plate
Why?
because that's where the pitcher is going to be throwing it. That's their philosophy, is that I'm going to look where the pitcher is going to throw it.
How many hitters are good at hitting that?
That's my point. I'm on the hey Dave, stop coming at me. I'm on the same page as you. I think about it the same way. Where it's like,
So they're wrong. They're thinking about it the wrong way.
maybe their approach is totally off, and then that's why they freeze up on the middle pitch, because they're looking for a pitch that is on the outside corner, because that's where they think that the pitchers are trying to throw it. But in all reality, the pitcher is trying to throw it there, but he's going to make a ton of mistakes. And if he makes a mistake, it's either going to be over the middle of the plate or it's going to be way out of the strike zone, and he might hit that outside corner. I don't know, maybe once or twice in an at bat, maybe.
This is true. I remember when Derek Jeter said on MLB Network they looked for a fastball down the middle every at bat. Whether that's actually true for him or not, like I think that's a really underrated approach from a hitter's perspective for like a long time.
It's going back to mid-curving it. Like everyone tries to mid-curve it and overthink it, where in reality it's just like, I'm just going to stick middle.
But
I'm going to look right down the middle, and when the ball shows up, I'm hitting it.
well, because there's
In that
this.
general location, like that's not that bad of an approach. It sounds super T-ball, but it works.
It's a huge approach. It's
Depends
awesome.
on the player, by the way.
Dude, no, because we look up to these guys like MLB pitchers, and they're super good, and they throw ungodly nasty stuff that moves in every direction nowadays. But we look at them and like think that they're like gonna hit their spot and execute their pitch at a 85% clip. That's completely, utterly insane. I watched the Padres play the Dodgers 2 nights ago, and Walker Buehler's on the
Unreal
mound.
series, by the way.
Yeah. And Walker Buehler's on the mound for the Dodgers, who's got just disgusting stuff. And I was watching him miss middle, like 1 out of every 3 pitches. And they were just,
That's why you need a vertical run. And that's why they still foul it back
and they were,
and
well,
not hit a homer.
and they were just torching him. But it's very, and you watch it all the time in high school. I mean, pitchers, let's talk from a hitter's perspective. I can tell you, teaching pitchers, even the best ones, they execute maybe at a 35 to 45% clip. And that's like an elite dude. That, to me, that's an elite dude. And anybody who tells me
And that's
that
probably just their fastball.
anybody who literally tells me that they execute, so they have a plan. What if it's fastball, outer hat or outer third, hit it. They can't do it more than that. I mean, they really maybe a high end D1 possible draft dude 60%, maybe. You can't tell me otherwise. I've seen it way too many times, and I'd say most of them live in that throw and hope phase, where catcher puts down a sign, I'll grip my pitch, I'm going to throw it, and I'm going to hope for the best result. And more times than not, they don't execute it.
You know, it'd be a good test. Like if people are like, "Oh no, that's BS." You could set down a towel and cover it to like 4 inches, and then place it on like have the catcher place it on certain spots during a bullpen, and see how many times that pitcher can throw it across that towel in the strike zone.
Yeah.
I bet you
It's hard.
I bet you it's extremely hard for them to actually execute that,
really
which
hard.
then puts in perspective for hitters is like, all I have to do is just sit middle. That's it. That's all I have to do.
Well,
To a certain degree, yeah.
we give pitchers, and this is coming from a pitching guy, we give them way too much credit.
Yeah, the other way around 100% the same thing.
Way too much. Oh, like the big 3-hole dude who's hit tanks, who's
Well,
ranked
by
top
the way,
100.
singular fastball, it's going to be a Jimmy to right center.
Yeah,
Like,
and then if we go back to the
he
to
hit
the
5
chart,
Jimmys the whole year, and he had 170 at bats, like,
yeah,
or
like
whatever.
If he's 3-0, he's batting 403.
Oh, so we shouldn't even pitch to him. Why even do it? Why even throw him a baseball?
At 0-0, he's batting 363.
Yeah, I hate
So it's
that.
like,
I would also argue that your middle of the lineup guys should be allowed to swing 3-0 more often, but that needs to be a taught thing.
wait, you're
course of the
saying
whole year.
that your 3-hole guy has the green light on 3-0?
In a high school program,
Yeah.
I would argue that the middle of the lineup hitter should have the green light 3-0.
I
yes.
give
Okay, what happens if there's nobody on base?
I'm good with it. Like you have to talk to
You're
them
one pitch
well
away
before
from
the
going to
win.
first base.
Yeah. What?
It'd be you're one pitch away. Like you're to start the inning.
You run one pitch away from 4 bases.
What's your thought on this?
I've gone back and forth on it because I've been burned both ways. I used to green light a ton of dudes because, arguably it's probably going to be the best pitch you've seen in a bat. Especially in high school baseball, the pitchers are not getting crafty at that point. They're not doing anything other than, I can't walk this guy. I have to throw a fastball over the plate. But I get burned because A, the hitter doesn't put the correct swing on it. Like he's not trying to do damage. Like I've seen dudes 3-0 hit like foul balls late. And I'm like, I have no idea how that's possible. How could you possibly be late on that pitch when I give you the green light trying to do damage? Or B, they swing at something at their eyes and then give the pitcher confidence, and then he strikes him out or gets him
Yeah,
out.
I mean it definitely goes both ways.
So it's like
No.
I don't know if I high school players have not played enough games and haven't had enough at bats to know how to swing at 3-0. I just don't think that they've had that many reps. If you're in college and you have a senior college player, if he plays in the Northwoods, I mean, how many games has he played in a full year plus fall? If he plays junior college, like
Yeah, it's
he's had so many reps
that
that he can see that. Like I didn't feel like if Coach Gutton gave me the 3-0 green light my senior year, I'd be totally comfortable going for it.
Yeah.
He gave me the green light. I was a leadoff hitter. He gave me the green light on 0-0 my senior year.
Yeah.
Like to start the game, you go for it. You have the green light. I trust you.
Yeah.
Right.
He was protective of those counts.
Yeah, in my first year, he's like, yeah, you're not swinging at the first pitch. There's no way. But he finally gave me the green light. And I probably swung at that pitch maybe 3 times. And I was probably a success rate of like maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
One was a home run. So, yeah. So I feel like those counts have to be protective to the guys that have not had the reps yet.
I can see that.
No, I totally agree. I'm talking about in high school when you're 3-hole kids going to whatever school and
Yeah, I
he's
can.
been on varsity. That's his 3rd full season on varsity.
I can
and
see-
you have a relationship with him of like, this is what's probably going to happen 3-0.
I might be the one in the room that this isn't applicable to, but I would say that I don't necessarily care about those types of results. I'd rather care about the learning moment. Like I'll put a player in situations not caring if he wins or if he succeeds or fails, it's just that he learns. So like if I give a kid 3-0, he does everything right. He sees the right pitch. He knows he's trying to do what he's supposed to do with it, and he pops it up. To me, it's a win. Other coaches are gonna be like, yeah, but he could have walked. He could have got on base. We could have won the game. And I'll be like, yeah, but that kid learned in that moment what he was trying to do. He just didn't execute. I mean, baseball's hard.
Yeah, sometimes you just
it's a
don't
hard thing of
execute it, by the way.
execution. Like it's a hard thing. You can do everything right and still fail. And it's just it's like it's the same thing on the pitcher side. If I say, whatever, 3-1 to this dude, and we know that he's a heavy fastball guy, and you've known this in this game, and you have a good breaking ball, and we want to go throw backwards to this guy, and you throw a pitch that's like an inch off the plate, and you don't get the call, or the guy doesn't swing, but you execute what you're doing. Like, okay, it's still a win. Like you're putting them in those situations to learn.
That's what those. That's one thing that's faulty of that chart. It doesn't give you the OBS or the getting on base or anything like that, like or even your slugging percentage off of that count, because we don't know what the success rate is. Because if you get on base, that's a successful at bat, right?
100%.
So it's probably better to have OBS and average right there.
And I'd also
to figure out what the actual success percentages of that counts. Then, because I mean, if you batting average is such a bad metric. It's such a bad
I
metric.
totally agree. I could not agree more.
And this is a D1 baseball chart that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to see this chart, if at all you could possibly compile this. It's impossible. Let's see it at the major league level. Let's see it at the D1 level. Let's see it at the D3 level. Let's see it at high school varsity. Let's see it at freshman. Let's see it at 10U. I bet those numbers are crazy different based on approaches and understanding of the game.
Agree.
Because that's what you're teaching. The point of this chart, in my opinion, of why he put it out. Now, I didn't read the context. I don't know if he had a quote tweet on this or whatnot, or what he said. Do you remember?
No, not really.
I don't. So
I quote tweeted it.
I'm assuming he's talking about hitters' approaches in that count and what they should be looking for, and why they're successful and why they're unsuccessful.
Well, we will find out, Dave.
That's my opinion behind it. He's a baseball coach, an online baseball coach. And I agree. I love his content. I think he does a fantastic job with that. And he puts out a lot of teachable stuff to help hitters because he's a hitting guy. And so he's teaching, hey, these are the counts you should be successful in, but why are you going to be successful in? Well, because you're going to get generalized amount of pitches. You're going to be thinking about doing different things in different counts and, being aggressive, or vice versa. If you're sitting there passive, letting pitchers do their thing, getting ahead of you, here's what you can kind of expect. So he's talking about approach.
Yeah, it was more of an inspirational quote, and it was more, not quote, but tweet, and then he circled the 2-1 and 1-2 count. It said, hitters, can you win the 1-to-1 battle? Imagine if you win it most times throughout the whole season. Compare those stats, train for it, vision, swing, and approach. Yeah, so like...
because 1-1 was 354 batting average.
But it's 2-1 and 1-2.
Right.
Yeah, he's
but
talking about
winning
can
the
you
1-1
win the
count.
1-1 count.
The 1-1
Yeah.
count was 354.
Yeah, so to get
the
to the
2-1
2-1
count
yeah.
was 364, but then vice versa. If you lost that 1-1 count and got to 1-2, now you're batting 170.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an approach talk, right? It's an approach. And that's what it is for, you look at the youth levels, there is no approach.
Well, also in pro
Really?
ball, in pro ball in college, you actually have coaches.
Scouting reports?
No, well, yeah, you have scouting reports, but you have coaches that have automatic calls on with 1-1 count and the guy on first to try to get you out of that 1-1 count, so you're not thinking about it.
You have PitchCom too.
Did you have that?
What?
automatic signs?
No.
No. So like if it was a 1-1 count, guy on first, it's an automatic hit and run.
No.
You never had that?
Not for me, at least.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I can actually say something incredible. I got one sign my senior year, the entire season. It was actually kind of insane.
What was it?
I think it was like a fake steal or a fake bunt steal or something. But there was a lot of no signs.
Simplify. Play the game, baby.
Yeah. So, but also at the same
Sounds
time,
like
I was
NAIA
a fifth year. I was a fifth year senior, and it was my third year being an everyday guy. So, I obviously got way more signs before my fifth year.
Yeah, it's almost the point where like you just don't do signs. Like when I was coaching, I rarely used signs. It was more of like if it's first and second, nobody out, it's an automatic bunt. I always did the automatic signs, so I didn't care who you were.
Yeah.
Especially in high school baseball, like put the bunt down. If you get into a ground ball double play, like they're gonna get that double play
Yeah,
for sure.
Bunting at the high school level is unbelievably valuable.
Yeah.
In terms of winning a game. And I would also argue the fake bunt double steal, first and second, works every time on a high school third baseman.
Now we're getting into strategy.
Yes.
I think that's a good point to end the podcast episode here. Guys, that's this episode of The Closing Pitch. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I forgot the whole ending. What else did we say in the ending?
Listen next time.
All right, we'll see you guys.
See ya.
Okay.
This is the closing pitch.